Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to Mission Possible by BK. This is Bharat, the Chartered Accountant by profession, and we will continue with the final accounts chapter. In our earlier two videos related to final accounts, we have seen trading account, we have seen profit and loss account, and we were discussing about some of the adjustment entries. Adjustment entries means those entries which we need to post in the year end in order to ensure that all the relevant expenses and income of that particular year are only appearing in your profit and loss account. Any expense which you have paid in advance for next year should not come in your current year's P&L. Similarly, any income which you have received in advance in this year but it pertains to the next year, it should not form part of your profit and loss account. So what we are doing is we are making an adjustment entry. We are eliminating it from the profit and loss account and we are taking it to the balance sheet. Next year when the actual event happens, we will keep adjusting that, because profit and loss account is a temporary account. That means only for 1 year period. The closing balances are not carried forward to the next year, whereas balance sheet account is a permanent account. The balances keep moving from 1 year to another year, like your cash balance or your receivable balance or your payable balance. So this is a quick summary of what we discussed yesterday. Today again we will cover some more adjustment entries so that the concept of these adjustment entries gets clear to you. Okay. So the first adjustment entry that we will be covering is, so we are discussing adjustment entries. So today the first journal entry that we will be covering is loan taken from a bank. This is just a journal entry concept, not an adjustment entry, but I wanted you to know the impact of this in the adjustment. I will tell that loan taken from bank. Assuming that you have taken some loan from the bank, so what is the journal entry that you are going to post here? We have received 1 lakh, assuming, from the bank. So there are two concepts here. The first concept is loan and the second concept is receipt of money from the bank. So simple aspect, what do you know about receipt of money? Debit what comes in. Because money is coming in, we have to increase our asset balance. So we have to simply straight away debit cash or bank account, whichever name, it is not important. So simply we will debit this amount and credit you will give to loan payable, same amount of 1 lakh, because loan payable is a liability, friends. So you think here in terms of balance sheet. Loan payable is a liability, and this loan, assuming that you have taken for a period of 3 years, so it should not come in your P&L because it is not pertaining to that year only. Generally you take a loan for a few years period of time, maybe 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, and it is a liability for you. It is not an expense. So you generally credit loan payable. This is the common entry that you post when you receive a loan, friends. Now the next concept here is interest payment. Okay, connected to this only we will see that interest payment. So the second part that comes is interest payable. This is an adjustment entry because generally interests are payable quarterly once or half yearly or at the end of every year. The bank will not give you any invoice or something for the interest payable. They will automatically debit it from your account. Sometimes it happens on March 31st, or sometimes it can even happen on the next month 2nd date or 5th date based upon the loan terms. So here what we have to do is, in case the interest is not deducted from your bank account in the year end, you have to pass an adjustment entry for the interest payable, because it is an obligation which pertains to the current year. Hence you have to charge interest. The common entry for interest is assuming that you have paid an EMI of 10,000. Assuming that you have paid an EMI of 10,000 for the above loan, just consider it as an example, and out of this interest amount is 2k and principal is 8k. Okay, now what is the entry that you have to pass? You just think that loan payable 1 lakh. Now out of this 1 lakh, principal 8k is reduced, isn't it? That means in your EMI, principal is also included. That means out of this 1 lakh, your obligation of 8,000 is getting reduced. So what do we need to do now? We just need to pass an opposite entry to this. So simply we will debit loan account, loan payable or loan account for 8,000, and there is something called as interest, isn't it? What is interest, friends? Interest is an expense. Expense means nominal account. Nominal account means debit P&L, debit all expenses and credit all income. So this is an expense for you. So this will come to your profit and loss account, debit. So you will charge interest account. You will charge interest account for that. This is P&L. Okay, I'm writing it here itself so that you don't get confused. Credit. Credit what, friends? Credit what? You are paying cash, assuming that you have paid it at the year end. So you can simply write it as bank account 10,000. In case it is not deducted on 31st but on the next year and you are creating a provision, then you can simply write here as, instead of bank, you can write as interest payable on loan. You can just create a provision account and you can charge it to that. Next year again you will reverse it and post the actual entry, so that impact will be nullified in the next year. So automatically this year the impact has happened. So you will simply reverse this on April 1st and post the actual entry. So when you post this actual entry, so this and that entry will also get cancelled. So next year there won't be any impact. So this is the final impact that happens on current financial year. Okay, current financial year. In case you have paid it, then credit goes to bank, because credit what goes out, real account concept. Your bank balance is decreasing, so you have to credit it. In case you are creating a provision, simply credit it to the interest payable provision account. So name is not important here, but the concept, because it is a liability for you, you will credit payable. Okay, so this is the concept of loan taken and interest payable. Loan taken is not an adjustment entry, whereas interest payable at the year end, if not posted, is an adjustment entry. So please keep this in mind. So all these concepts are based upon your P&L and balance sheet logic only, friends. So please pay attention to that. You should not confused here. Because you are paying 10k, simply straight away you cannot debit 10k to your profit and loss account. No, friends, because it contains part of your principal. And where did you book your principal? You booked your principal in liability side, isn't it? It is a liability for you, and hence you have to reduce that liability as and when you pay your EMI. So that is the concept, friends. Loan taken is not an expense, friends. Please keep that in mind. Loan is a liability. It is not an expense. And one simple logic is that generally when you take a loan, it may extend for a few years period of time, and you have to repay it maybe after 3 years, 6 years. So the liability accrues to you for a period of 5 years, 6 years. That means this 6 years you are carrying a liability of paying that loan. Every year you are decreasing your liability slowly. So you have to charge this to the balance sheet liability account. Just like when you purchase an asset, you book it as asset and not an expense, isn't it? Similarly is the case with loan payable. When you take a loan, you should not charge it to your expense, or just because you are receiving money, you should not charge it to your income. Many people have this confusion. They think that if loan amount I am getting, simply they will credit to P&L credit and say that loan income. No, it is not an income, friends. It is an obligation. So obligations will always be on your liability side. Remember that profit and loss account is only the particular year's expense and income, whereas anything over and above 1 year is your asset or liability. Please understand this distinction. Next we will move to another concept, and it is contra entry. There is something called as contra entry, friends. What is this contra entry? It is mostly related to your cash account. When does it happen? A simple and most common example is that we withdraw cash. Cash has been withdrawn from bank and the amount is 50,000. Okay friends, now what is the entry for this? Cash is withdrawn, that means you are getting cash. Debit what comes in, right? Cash debit 50,000, and where are you withdrawing it from? Bank. Bank is 50,000 friends. So what is the impact here? Both belong to the same set of accounts, both relate to your money, either it is cash or bank. You must understand that both of these entries, debit and credit, are contra entries of each other. That means it is impacting the same account, that is your cash balances. So this kind of entries, generally they don't give any narration. Commonly in journal entries, every time they post an entry, they give a narration. If they purchase something, they write as being purchased. If they sell something, they write as being sales done. But for these kind of entries, generally narration is not given. They simply write as C, contra. That means both of them affect the same account. So sometimes they write it on the C, or sometimes they write it even in the narration that it is a contra entry. C means contra entry. You should remember that contra entry happens when both the sides of an entry impact the same account. No another account is involved here. If you see purchases, then you write purchases to cash. Both are different accounts. Whereas in this entry, if you observe, both belong to your bank account only. So you are just taking cash from your bank. So both have impact on your money only. It doesn't mean anything else because the same account is being affected. So this kind of an entry is called as contra entry. Another example for your understanding is, we received cash 10,000 from a debtor and we deposited into bank. That means someone has given cash. We sold something to someone and we deposited it into the bank. So what is the entry here? Deposit into the bank. That means bank's balance will increase. So debit what comes in into the bank, your amount is coming. We are deposited into the bank. And credit cash because you have cash balance and it is going out from your hand. So if it is going out from your hand, where is it going into? It is going into your bank. Both are part of your same monetary account only. If you see in the balance sheet, both bank and cash balances are one single concept only. So these kind of entries are called as contra entries. That means they do not impact any of your ledgers because it is going from one account and adding into the another account of the same nature. It is just like taking money from your left pocket and putting it into your right pocket. The money still remains with you only. It is just the nature of the transaction that changes. Instead of cash, it becomes bank, or instead of bank, it becomes cash. So these kind of entries which affect the same account only are called as contra entries. So this is also one concept which I wanted to clear you. This happens mostly in cases of cash account only and not anything else. There are some other examples also. We will see it at a later stage. I'm just erasing this. So next concept that we are going to discuss today is about drawings. Okay. Drawings. We have already seen the concept of capital. We will cover more about it in the balance sheet chapter. Capital is nothing but the amount which has been invested by the owner of the company. Owner's money which has been invested into the company. Okay. So similarly, drawings is nothing but something which the owner takes out from the company's account. Something which the owner takes out, owner takes out. It can be either in the form of cash. Sometimes the owner takes cash from the company's bank account, or the owner takes some stock. Okay, this can happen in either ways. So here we have to understand that this is not a transaction which is related to your company. Please understand that it is a personal transaction which the owner undertakes. So in general, what we have learned in the concept of accounting, basics of accounting, we have learned that we should not post any owner's expenses or income in our company's account. That is very much valid. Just because a owner goes on a trip to somewhere, a foreign country, we cannot charge that expenses to the company account because it is not a company's expense. So that thing hope you remember. But here in this case what happens is the owner takes some money for his personal use, or the owner takes some stock. Because the owner has contributed the capital, he has this right of taking out some cash or stock. And now if we have to pass an entry for this, it should affect only your capital, friends. It should not affect any of your cash balances or stock balances. How do we do that? I will just tell you. Example, a owner has withdrawn 5,000 rupees from official bank account. He has withdrawn, okay, for his personal use. Now what is the first entry that you will pass? First entry that you will pass is you will debit an account called as drawings. Okay, debit an account called as drawings. This is a balance sheet account. And credit simple account cash, because cash is going out from your business. Even if you identify one part of the transaction, the other one is easy. Here you can straight away say that cash is going out, so simply you credit cash, and the debit of it should be gone to an account called as drawings account. Now this drawings account should be adjusted in your capital. So what you should do, you should transfer this drawings account to your capital account, friends. So capital is a liability, isn't it? What did we see in our balance sheet concept? In our balance sheet concept, we saw that liability asset. Capital is a liability. Liability means credit balance. Why capital is a liability? Because when we close the company has to pay back that money to the owner. Owner and company are two different aspects. Both are not one and the same. So it is a liability of the company. That's why capital is shown on the credit side. Now, if we have to adjust this 5,000, then we have to reduce that capital, isn't it? Because capital is something which the owner has invested. Now, drawing is something which the owner has taken out. So we have to reduce from this capital. Because capital has a credit balance, in order to reduce it, what do? We simply debit your capital account. Debit your capital account. Even if you don't understand this direct journal entry logic, you can follow this method of trying to put debit and credit and then understanding. And credit you have to put drawings, because there is an account called as drawings which you have opened in your previous case, so that has to get nullified. Here you are showing debit drawings, so that has to get closed and it will be adjusted in your capital. Now if your capital has, assuming 50,000, you will say less 5,000 drawings, and you will show net capital as 45,000, friends. So this is the logic. Even if you don't understand this journal entry, if you can think in terms of balance sheet angle, it becomes easy for you. So capital is a liability. It is on your credit side. Drawing means the owner has withdrawn some amount from your capital. So you will reduce that capital, because capital is a credit account in your liability. In order to reduce it, you will debit it. So that is what we have done, debit capital. Because we have already opened a drawings account, we have to close it. Now you may have a doubt, can we straight away debit capital and credit cash? Yes, you can do that, but in general, if we do that, we do not know the purpose of why we reduced our capital. So that is why we create a temporary account called as drawings. Now we can understand, if we take the drawings account ledger, we can clearly know, okay, the owner has taken 5,000 from it and now it has been transferred to capital account. So that's why they open this temporary account. So that is what you have to do here, friends. Hope you understood this logic. Drawings is nothing but reduction in your capital. Not only cash, even stock also this can happen. So instead of cash here, we can write stock also. Okay, that means instead of cash going out, your inventory is going out. Again, it is the same logic. Inventory is an asset account. Inventory is an asset account. It has a debit balance. If it is going out, you have to put credit. If it is coming in, you have to put debit. So this is the logic, balance sheet logic. Simple, friends. You can easily solve this if you can think in terms of your balance sheet or profit and loss account. No need to memorize any journal entries, friends. It is as simple as that. You just think the nature of the transaction and journal entry automatically comes to you, friends. Just erasing this. Now the other concept that we will see today is related to your bad debts. Okay, even though this is a balance sheet concept, it has an impact on P&L. So I just wanted you to know, at the year end, generally what people do is you will have a lot of receivables. Receivable means asset account, isn't it? In your asset account, there will be fixed asset, there will be inventory, there will be cash, there will be something called as receivables, or they call it as debtors account. Debtors means one who owes. So this has a debit balance. Okay, that means receivable is an asset for you. You have to receive that money. Money is going to come into you, so it has a debit balance. So at the year end, generally they evaluate how much of this is actually going to come, because out of 10 cases, 1 cases may have become insolvent or bankrupt. That means one person is not in a position to give because his company has closed down, or he has expired and he is no longer available to settle our money. So the company calculates the bad debts provision and they create this in your profit and loss account, friends. Assuming that, now a journal entry we will simply take, assuming that there is a bad debt here for 70,000 or maybe 50,000. Okay, so 70,000 bad debt from XYZ Limited. Okay, so that means XYZ Limited has become insolvent and from him we will not be getting 70,000. So what is the entry, friends? So there are two concepts here. One is your bad debt, second is your limited. So this is a nominal account because it pertains to your P&L. Is it an expense or an income? It is an expense because it is a bad debt. So simply you will debit bad debt. It is a P&L account. You will debit 70k and credit. What you will do? Receivables are debit balances. Now out of this total receivables, you will not be getting 70. So that is what is your implication here. So simply you have to credit your debtor. So in this case, because it is XYZ Limited, the name has been given, we will simply credit XYZ Limited, okay, for 70k. If the name is not given, you will be crediting debtors or you will be crediting receivables, because receivables and debtors have a debit balance, and as now we will not be receiving this amount, it has to be reduced. In order to reduce, we credit this. Okay, we credit this. So that's what we have done here. This will go to your P&L and this amount will be reduced from your balance sheet account and shown. So both will be matching now. So this is the concept. And then what happens at the year end? I told you that all the journal balances or ledger balances will be closed and transferred to your profit and loss account. So at the year end, what happens? Generally any ledger account, it will be closed and transferred to P&L account, especially your nominal account, all the P&L expenses and all. So this account, if we have to close, it will become credit bad debt 70k and debit you will take it to P&L account. Okay, debit you will take it to P&L account. So this is your concept of closing of journal entries. This closing of trial balance, friends, I will explain to you in when we discuss the chapter of balance sheet, because there is something called as closing of trial balance. I will explain that in our next video, but for now you just have to remember that all your P&L accounts which are lying in your trial balance will be closed and transferred to P&L. If it is an expense account, it will be debited to P&L account. If it is a income account, it will be credited to P&L account. Now if you take the P&L account, it will be somewhat this debit expenses, credit income. So this bad debt now will come here, okay, because P&L to bad debts, P&L to bad debts, P&L to bad debts. So that is what your amount which will be coming in your P&L account. So this is the flow of transaction. So your bad debt is transferred to P&L account, and at the same time, because of this entry, your receivable balance is also reduced and an expense is also created. So this is the impact of the transaction, friends. This trial balance closing is something which I will discuss in the next video, but for now you just need to remember these entries which are something unusual. Okay, it is not your regular entries like purchase, rent, insurance, income. So that's why I have been discussing this extensively. Just erasing this. next concept that we will see is deferred revenue expenses. Okay, this is almost similar to your prepaid expenses concept that I have discussed in the earlier video. So assuming that a company is spending a huge amount of money on advertising, so that means it has spent 1,50,000 on advertising, and the company feels that the benefit of this advertising will come to it for 3 years period of time. That means if they incur this 1,50,000 now, for the next 3 years they don't need to spend anything on advertising. The benefit will come for 3 years. So that means in this case we have incurred an expenditure in advance. That means we have prepaid something. So same is the concept, just like prepaid. Whatever is the current year's amount, assuming that it is divided into 50k each year. So 50k current year amount you will be posting to P&L account, but the 1 lakh amount which is still not pertaining to the current year, you will take it to an account in asset. Okay, in balance sheet asset. I will explain to you everything in concept of liability and asset so that it becomes easy for you to post the journal entry. Because this 1 lakh is an asset for you, you have to debit your asset account. We will simply create an entry called as debit prepaid expenses or deferred revenue expenditure, one and the same, 1 lakh account, friends. So this is the entry that we generally pass for prepaid expenses. So next year what happens is, out of this 1 lakh we will credit this and take it to P&L. Again in the third year, this 50,000 whatever is remaining, that also we will credit and take it to P&L account. So each and every year we have to allocate this, just like how you do for depreciation, we have to do for prepaid expenses also. So that is your concept of deferred revenue expenditure or prepaid expense. It is one and the same, friends. This is shown in assets as prepaid expense, or it is also shown as deferred revenue expenditure. Why this is an asset? Because you have already paid for something and the benefit of it is has to come to you in the next 2 years. So something which has to come is an asset for you, something which has to paid is a liability for you. In this case the benefit has to come to you in the next 2 years, so it is an asset for you. You create a debit in the asset account in the name of either prepaid expenses or deferred revenue expenses, and then you book it next year when the actual event happens. So each and every year you will be booking only 50k in the P&L and balance amount will be appearing in your asset account in balance sheet. Just erasing this. So next one small thing which I wanted to tell you was about your closing stock. Generally, if you see the trial balance, the closing stock is in, if you see the question, the closing stock is separately given. It is not included in your trial balance. The reason why closing balance is not included in your trial balance, the closing stock is not included in your trial balance, because closing stock means what, friends? We have purchased something, right? So we have purchased 100 rupees worth stock. Assuming that we have consumed 80, what is the closing stock? 20 rupees. Okay, assuming that we have consumed 80. So now if you look at the trial balance, already you would have shown purchase of, already you would have shown purchase of 100, isn't it? So if you now show closing stock again 20 rupees, what does it mean, friends? It means that you are double accounting it. So that's why your closing stock is generally given as a separate line item in your trial balance question, so that you include it as part of your trading account credit. Trading account credit is what you need to show your closing stock balance, but you should not include it as part of your purchases or trial balance, because again if you show here or here, then it becomes a double calculation, and that's why closing stock is generally not given in your trial balance, because already the effect of it is coming in terms of your purchase account. So we should omit that in recording in your trial balance. So that's the reason closing stock is generally recorded as a credit side of your trading account, which implies the balance stock which is lying in a account. Okay, this please be clear in this, because sometimes in questions they ask this. So Don't get confused. Closing stock is generally given as a separate line item but not given in the trial balance, and the reason is because already the purchases are shown in the trial balance. It is only the balance that is left that is what you are showing in your trading account. Okay, so no need to account for it separately. So please keep that in mind. We will cover this again in our next video related to balance sheet. There I will again explain about your trial balance and how the transactions flow from trial balance to profit and loss account and balance sheet. So that is again the next concept that we will be covering, but for now I just wanted you to be clear on this concept. So this is about closing stock, and the next thing that we will discuss in today's video, it's the last topic for today, and it is something called as your profit and loss appropriation account, friends. Profit and loss appropriation account. Profit and loss appropriation account is something that we will be discussing today. It is a different concept, unrelated from your adjustment entry. Profit and loss appropriation account. This concept is more relevant for you when you prepare the accounts of a partnership firm. In general, for companies, they don't do this profit and loss account appropriation. It is only more relevant for partnership accounting. That means if three partners are forming together a partnership business and they call it as a partnership firm, then for those this P&L appropriation account is very much necessary. So generally we have different types of entity. One is sole trading entity, that means only one person has a company. Another is partnership. Another is LLP, limited liability partnership. It is similar to a partnership firm but has a benefit in terms of companies related issues also. So this we will discuss again in different subject, LRB or maybe principles and practices of banking. And then you have called as company. In company you have private, you have public. So these are the different types of companies which can be formed. One of them is partnership firm. So in partnership accounting, this P&L appropriation account is generally done. So you should not get confused with P&L account and profit and loss appropriation account. P&L appropriation account is nothing but an extension of the P&L account. It is an extension of P&L account. It is prepared after your profit and loss account is prepared. After P&L account is prepared, the profit and loss account appropriation account is prepared. Okay, hope you understood. So this is what is the concept. Now what is the objective of this P&L appropriation? The name itself says that appropriation. If you see P&L account, it is a charge, whereas P&L appropriation is an appropriation. That means in your P&L you debit all the expenses and credit income, and then you have something called as net profit, isn't it? Net profit. Now in case of a partnership firm, this net profit has to be distributed among the partners A, B, C. So how does this distribution happen? Sometimes the partners may withdraw some money for their personal use, like drawings. So the partnership firm generally charges interest. Drawings is just like a loan kind of thing. So they charge interest. So sometimes the partners receive some money from outside. So all these adjustments have to be done, and the final amount payable to A, B and C have to be decided. So appropriation is done. The appropriation of a net profit between all the partners is called as your P&L appropriation account. So P&L appropriation starts with your net profit, and then from this net profit you have to make the relevant adjustments and then decide the amount which is finally payable to the respective partners. So what are the adjustments that we need to make in your P&L appropriation? It is just like a normal P&L nominal account. Expenses are debited, income is credited. So P&L appropriation account is something like this: debit, credit. So what happens is your profit comes here, the net profit comes here, the net profit comes here, and out of this you make various adjustments. That means P&L is prepared for the company, friends, isn't it? It is not prepared for the partners. Now here what you have to do, you have to debit some items like salary to partners. We have to pay salary. They would have been a fixed amount in salary. So where can we get this information? We can get this information from something called as partnership deed. It is the Bible for a partnership firm. It has all the information related to the terms and conditions of the partnership. If you refer this deed, you will get all this information related to salary and other aspects. And at the same time, there is something called as interest on capital. There is something called as commission to partners. All these are your expense kind of thing. It will reduce your net profit appropriation. So that's why these are debited. These are the most common items which come on your debit side, and the credit side is something called as drawings by the partner, drawings, interest on drawings. All these comes on your net credit side because this will have an adjustment in your net amount. So how we will do this? I'll give you an example here. Profit and loss appropriation account by interest on drawings is something that we book here on the credit side because it is an income. So you think this in terms of expense and income account only. You have your net profit here. Some partner has taken an amount of drawing 10,000. So the partnership firm will charge interest. So that is an income, isn't it? So to this net profit, this income will also get added. So interest on drawings are generally on the credit side. At the same time, if you are paying salary, then what happens? Your net profit is decreasing. It is an expense. Same is the case with commission to partners. You are paying something, so it decreases your net profit. Interest on capital, that means you have borrowed some money and you are paying interest on it. So that is also an expense. So all the expenses are reduced from this net profit, and then your final amount comes, which is credited to the respective partner's account. So this is the main reason of a P&L appropriation account. Please remember friends, profit and loss account is a charge, whereas profit and loss appropriation account is an appropriation. So that is the main theme of this profit and loss account. Appropriation of profit is nothing but distribution of profit. Hence P&L appropriation account is prepared. Now we will just see two cases here, two examples here. I'll just minimize this. So if you see an example that there are two partners. A, he has a drawings of 10,000, and there is another partner B, he has a drawing of 10,000, and the interest on drawings is assuming 10% per annum. So in this case, you must understand the fact that interest on drawings, that means the partner has withdrawn some money here for his personal purpose, and the partnership firm is going to charge interest. So it is an income which is going to come to the partnership firm. So in your P&L appropriation, you will credit that. So in your P&L appropriation credit side here, you will show interest on drawings as 1,000 for A and 1,200 for B. So this is the adjustment that you show in your P&L appropriation, because it is an addition to your net profit. The partnership firm is getting that income, so it will be simply added to your net profit. So this is the flow of transaction in your P&L appropriation account. If you see the journal entry, then it will simply come as interest on drawings to P&L appropriation account. Okay, interest on drawings to P&L appropriation account. P&L appropriation, you will show the amounts of 2,200. So that is what comes here. Okay, this is the journal entry. Interest on drawings is a income for the company, and hence it is shown in your P&L appropriation credit side. Now you may have a question as to, if the income is there on interest on drawings, why are we debiting it? Because it is a nominal account, we have to credit it. Yes, absolutely, it is a nominal account, we have to credit it. That is what we are doing here. We are crediting it to the P&L account. But before this, generally one more entry happens. Whenever there is an interest on drawings, it has to be affected from the partner's capital. So the first entry that they will pass is the partner's capital account. Partner's capital account. If it is A, then it is A. If it is B, it is B. To interest on drawings. To interest on drawings. So this amount of 2,200, 1,000 for A and 1,1200 for B, they will post this entry. So this is credit. Okay, this interest on drawings is a credit. That means it will reduce your capital. So now this interest on drawings has to be transferred to your P&L appropriation account, isn't it? So that is the reason we are passing this second entry. That means it goes to the credit of your P&L appropriation account. So if we pass this entry, the interest comes on the credit side. Nominal account concept, credit all incomes, and hence it is credited, friends. Okay, you should not get confused here. Because we are showing interest on drawings debit side, it doesn't mean it is an expense, it is an income. We are just transferring the income to P&L appropriation account. That is what we are doing it here. Okay, do not get confused. We will cover this when we do the trial balance concept in next video, so that you will get more clarity on this closing of entries in trial balance. Everything we will see in the next chapter, but for now you need to understand the concept of P&L appropriation account. P&L appropriation is nothing but an appropriation of the profit. Same is the case with salary or commission. If a person gets salary or commission, it will be posted to your debit side, and whatever is the net amount after that, everything adjustments which are made. For example, if the total P&L appropriation credit is 50,000 and debit is 20,000, the net profit that remains is 30,000. If the deed says that the profit sharing ratio is equal 1:1:1, then this 30,000 is divided among A, B and C in an equal manner. So that is how it is done, friends. Again, it depends upon the conditions in the partnership deed. So this is your concept of P&L appropriation. May not be so relevant in terms of practical things in your examination, but they may ask some questions in the exam related to the purpose of P&L appropriation, and if salary is paid to the partner, then what is the journal entry or to which side it is debited. So they may try to tilt the question so that you get confused. You just have to remember that it is an extension of the P&L account. Just like P&L account, even P&L appropriation also has the same concept. All incomes are credited, all the expenses are debited. Whatever is the amount remaining in the end is distributed among the partners in terms of the profit sharing ratio as per the partnership deed. So this mostly comes in your cases of partnership accounts and not any other company accounts. So this is your concept of P&L appropriation account, friends. Hope you understood this. Now we will just see the material whether we have covered everything. So adjustment entries, I think I have nearly given 10 to 12 examples, though all of them are not mentioned here, but I wanted you to develop an understanding. So I have given all the relevant examples: expenses paid in advance, income received in advance, income received but not accrued. Everything is something which I have already explained, friends. Next, preparation of financial statements from the trial balance. So depreciation is also something which I told you, and inventory flow relating to closing stock is also something which I told you. So profit and loss preparation is also something which I have explained to you. Trading account is also something which I have explained to you. So next we would be preparing the profit and loss appropriation. Also is something which I have just explained to you. It is nothing but an appropriation of the profit so that the net amount is distributed. So if you see the profit and loss appropriation account, this is how it looks actually. Typical format, all the appropriation: debenture redemption reserve, transfer to reserve, additional income provision, interim dividend, provident dividend. This is in terms of your company, friends. What happens, what I told you is in terms of partnership account, but in general a company does not prepare this because the format of the revised schedule 6 doesn't say that this is necessary. But what happens is, because we need to know the concept, in case a company wishes to prepare, then out of the net profit they will deduct all these expenses. All these expenses are related to your company: dividend distribution tax, income tax, transfer to reserve. All these adjustments will be made from your net profit account. This we will cover in your balance sheet chapter as well, because in your balance sheet in liability there is something called as reserves. So there we will make all these adjustments. The net profit of your company is transferred to reserves in general. So while transferring to reserves, it can be transferred to different reserves depending upon the purpose. So this P&L appropriation account, in case of company, if at all it is prepared, then you just need to transfer it to the respective reserves. They may have debenture redemption reserve, they may have general reserve, they may give some interim dividend, and whatever is the balance left, that will be carried to your balance sheet. Then this in general is not followed, friends, because the format doesn't say that. But however, while preparing the balance sheet, there is something called as reserves, and we have to give a detailed breakup of the reserves in the notes to accounts. So there we will be encountering these type of examples. That means the net profit of the company is appropriated or distributed to various other reserves before transferring the net amount to your general reserve. There is something called as general reserve. General reserves means it is used for general purpose. There is something called as special reserve. That means it should be used only for that purpose. For example, debenture redemption reserve. No need to understand the meaning here now. I will explain to you later. This is a special reserve because the name itself suggests it is for the purpose of debenture redemption. So this debenture redemption reserve should be used only for your debenture redemption. So that amount is first negated here. Then income tax provision, then dividend, all these are set off, and the balance that is there, it is carried over to your balance sheet in terms of general reserve. So that is your P&L appropriation for a company. Not so relevant, but we will learn this in our balance sheet chapter, friends. So this is all about your P&L account, trading account, adjustment accounts. So in our next video, we will cover in detail what is the concept of trial balance closing, how do the transactions flow from trial balance closing to your P&L and balance sheet, and then we will know the different terminologies in balance sheet before moving on to the next chapter, friends. So this is all for now. Please do stay safe and take care of yourself. And if you have any doubts, you can just join the Telegram link in the description below, and you can post your doubts. I will be more than happy to answer your doubts. Please share this among your friends and also do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for spending your time on this. Have a nice day.